Alright guys, TacticalRab here, and today I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. And as Rostermania gets closer to its conclusion and the subliners seem set to confirm their roster without Crimsix for next season, Crim's given his thoughts on why that team will not be as good next year without him, and why HyDra is not going to win an event without him as their main AR. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you are new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that one. Yeah, today we're going to talk about New York. Obviously, so much drama within that organization last season. They've decided, seemingly to some degree, to step away from the drama. Whether their team's going to be better than it was at the end of last year, that is, of course, another question entirely. Just to mention this real quick, because, of course, I'm pretty sure the World Series of Warzone stuff happens over on Twitch. Maven and Merc, Miles, Dream Krusty, J-God, they're doing the casting desk stuff respectively, so I guess that's coming up. But yeah, presented by Prime Gaming. I don't know if the previous iterations of this have also been presented by Prime Gaming, but of course we've seen that even the CDL itself was presented by Prime. So I do wonder over time whether we're going to get some announcement as to what the state is going to be here for the CDL with regard to which platform it's going to be streamed on. The end of last season, it was seeming more and more likely that there was going to be some sort of Twitch partnership. But the thing is, Twitch has spent a lot of money in the past on like deals, I think, with Overwatch, and it hasn't really worked out. Like, it hasn't been a good spend of money, let's just say. So I don't really know what the CDL are planning to do here, just because they could go back to YouTube, but I'm not really sure that YouTube or Twitch wants to give them a great deal anymore, if, as we believe, the YouTube deal is now at an end. The ideal case is it's on both platforms, but of course media rights deals are a good revenue generator for the league, and without that, like, where do they even get any money from, right? So that's a big question they're going to have to answer shortly, but there is a decent chance, I suppose, at the very least, that we could find ourselves on Twitch once again next season. That has its positives. I think also the viewing experience isn't quite as good as being able to rewind and stuff like that over on YouTube. Hoping there'll be more to say on that in the coming days. This, just to mention real quick, thought was pretty funny here, as Devil points out, I knew Skies was joining subliners when he complimented my shirt. Like, and then actually, well, this tweet goes live and he had Skies in it, and then just a few minutes later, Skies actually follows him, right? So I don't think Skies liked the tweet or anything, but just to imply that Skies to New York, as has been rumored for quite some time, is maybe almost guaranteed at this point. And this is the other part of the story, that as Boston tweet out keyword, I mean, honestly, Krona doesn't miss, man. It's a shame this guy's no longer going to be doing roster reporting and stuff. Hopefully he can stay in the scene in some capacity or another. So Boston tweet this outright, effectively, okay, you know, what would this be? 6th gear, I suppose, if you're ringing this one. And then Crone found this image of Awakening on 6th gear team, whatever this was, a couple of years ago, right? Maybe this is like start, I mean, Call of Duty League. This must be start of Modern Warfare, maybe at the kind of opening launch weekend or whatever, back in, what was it, Minnesota or something? Like, maybe that's the team he was playing for then. So, I mean, yeah, Crone doesn't miss. Pretty much every single thing that Boston have tweeted out has indeed implied that Awakening's going to join this team. And that's kind of relevant, of course, to the Crimsix discussion, because you guys may remember he said at the time when he was kind of concerned about not getting a spot, that Awakening might be the man that has to either save him or end his career. He said that if Awakening wants to team with him, then, you know, Crim might still be able to get an opportunity somewhere, but if Awakening says no, then, you know, all of a sudden Crim's not going to get a spot. So the idea of Awakening to the Boston Breach alongside Methods, Vivid and Nero, like, that seems likely at the moment. Crim, therefore, is going to have to either look elsewhere or not get a spot at all, as it kind of seems like that's what he's been gearing up to over the last few weeks or so, doing a lot of content, like, maybe stepping into that role. Clay does seem to still be trying his best to get a spot, but yeah, Crim might have just resigned to the fact at this point that he might be forced into retirement for next season, as unfortunate as that would be for the Call of Duty scene. Crim's been going pretty rogue as well, because, you know, Donny Temp, the music videos on the way and stuff like this, and Crim had a few words to say on this in replies, and even, you know, Temp was kind of roasting him, right? But, you know, look, Crim, all this drama last season between not just Crim and HyDra, Crim and Neptune, of course, Crim and Clayster, Crim and Daryl, even the coach. We don't exactly know what's going to happen to Daryl here, just because Daryl, the rumor has it that he could potentially be moving elsewhere, but I kind of do doubt that's going to be the case, just because my theory was, I suppose, with the New York subliners camp, is they got rid of JP Krez and Revan, right? Because I think those guys clashed to some degree with Daryl on the team as the coach there, and of course he's good friends with HyDra and stuff, so I kind of doubt that he wants to leave if HyDra isn't leaving, for example. But yeah, and I thought what New York were planning to do is kind of say, okay, look, we had all this coaching drama, let's just choose one or the other. Went down the Daryl route and are kind of going to stick with that, so we'll see if that's exactly how it plays out. But Crim also, you know, we saw the calls, the flank episodes that were practically therapy sessions for that subliners camp, and this is even what Temp says in reply. I'm sure you guys can guess what this exactly is referring to. A bit of a violation, to be perfectly honest. But Crim and all that drama with the team last season, and of course going into this year, they're hoping that, you know, there won't be so much drama. Now, will the team be as good in terms of its peak performance as they were with Crim? That is maybe rather doubtful. Crim, I think he said these words several days ago at this point, but I didn't get the chance to discuss it at the time. time, and they're certainly still relevant. So obviously, like, part of this is joking, right? There's a guy called HyDra who like joins his like a Warzone game or whatever, and he's basically just roasting this guy HyDra as the same name, of course, as the teammate that he didn't always get along so well with last season. Of course, some of it he's joking around, but some of it, right, I don't think he would say all of this if he doesn't believe it to a certain degree that they won't be as good without him.
You shouldn't have dropped me, Paco, you idiot. You're not going to win this year, Paco.
God damn it.
That's the last time that you will ever win with me.
Got carried his whole career.
Yeah. Can't wait till they send your ass back to France.
Oh my God.
Nah, your ass might get demoted to Algeria, bro. Dog. You dog. Bro, I literally died. Dude, this fake guy, this guy probably has no idea what's going on, bro. He's just like the, you know, the HYDRA in the Marvel movies.
So is Crimsix right to a certain extent here, or what do you guys think about this? So we believe the roster of 4 is going to be, with Priest seemingly signing a deal or getting ready to sign a deal a few days ago, and Crone actually confirming just a couple of days ago that he believes the New York Subliners team is as he, well, previously explained it would be, with, of course, HYDRA, Kismet staying over, Skies as the AR, and then Priest as the flex player for the roster. This is over at the beautiful roster build. I'm not exactly sure if this is live on the Breaking Point site yet, or whether this is still private. Actually, yeah, if you guys want to try this out for yourself, you can go to the Breaking Point page, breakingpoint.gg, go click here and build your own roster, but this one is less centralized than the one that I'm about to use, but it's effectively the same deal. You can go build the roster and see what things would look like. This is the one I'm going to use because it's slightly more central, but yes, this is the roster of 4. HYDRA, why did it refresh? Okay, we fixed it, we back, baby. HYDRA, Kiz, Priest, and Skies is the rumored team of 4. Now, at the end of last season, obviously, look, it took quite some time for that New York Subliners team to be decent, but they made the Cinderella run to not only win the Prime Classic, make the Grand Finals of Major 4, of course, go to the World Championships, even though it looked almost impossible for a time. I think without Crim, that probably doesn't happen, but also without Crim, you probably don't get all the drama necessarily on the team itself. So this team is probably, like, look, it should have less drama theoretically. Is it good enough, though, on paper, to actually do some damage? Because any team with Crim, even without the kind of craziest talent around him, although he did have, you know, good talent this season on his roster with HYDRA especially, and Kismet was a monster at the end of the year, Porlex was pretty damn good. That's the thing, comparing this team to last year's team, I like the HYDRA and Kismet thing. I've got no issues at all with keeping HYDRA and Kiz. I think that's a very sensible SMG duo. They seem to pair very well. Kiz also is a guy that he doesn't seem to really be fazed too much by the drama. He came out of all that New York Subliner stuff in the offseason looking incredibly good because, you know, somehow he managed to evade all the drama and still perform incredibly well. Scump even recently called him like a 99 overall or something because this guy just plays the game so well. So I really do enjoy that SMG duo. I think that can be a great one. I think it doesn't make any sense really to split that up to some degree. Now, it's the AR side which is questionable. So Skies, I think, is a good pickup. Don't get me wrong. I think Skies, one of the best ARs of the last few years, stuck on this Florida team. I'm really excited to see what it can do in this roster. It's the flex position which is a bit of a question mark to me because Skies, I don't know if he can necessarily be the IGL, the leader that they might have lost with Crimsix, right? I think Skies over Crim in terms of the main AR position is certainly an upgrade on paper in terms of raw ability, like a raw slaying power you're going to get. But is he actually a player that's going to help you win more? Like, that's a question that you might ask. It's the flex position, I think, that's going to raise a lot of eyebrows. Do you guys think Priest deserves another shot like this, or do you not? I think it's an interesting question right now because Priest, his last couple of years have not been good at all. Yes, he won Major 5 right last year on the Minnesota Rokkr, but ever since he joined Rokkr, it's not been pretty. But even if you look back to like the Infinite Warfare days, I think it was on Cloud9, I'm pretty sure they came top 4 at Champs that season. The very next year in World War II, he was on the FaZe team. They won at Stage 1 playoffs that year. They came 3rd at the World Championship. The next year, he was on 100 Thieves, won a couple of events, made the Grand Finals of Champs that season, did the same again next year on Atlanta FaZe in the Modern Warfare year. So, 4 years in a row, he was top 4 at Champs with back-to-back Grand Finals. And then since Minnesota Rokkr, it's not been looking so good. His stats don't look so good. His individual, impact doesn't look so good. So there is a question as to whether his spot in this team should have been, granted, or should they have gone down another route? Because, I'm kind of mind-blown personally that a guy like Gunless isn't getting the light of day. Now, look, maybe Gunless and the personalities and, they want a team without drama, and I think the Priest is going to be able to give them a team without drama. But do they have the relevant leadership aspects of this roster? Like, do they have the slang that they're going to need to compete with the top dogs? Because, I mean, look, as I say, usually Crim, even without the craziest talent, and also comparing this roster to last year with Paul X, right? Like, Paul X might have more upside than Priester, in fairness. I think that's certainly arguable given last year. But Crim with most teams is going to make them at least a contender at some point. And this roster, it's tough to say because look at the top dogs, right? FaZe are always going to be in the consideration. They've got aBeZy, Simp, and Cell, plus Slasher now. Like, that's obviously a scary team. Reigning world champions Los Angeles Thieves. OpTic Texas, of course, they're no slouches either. And Seattle Surge, they won an event, came top 3 at Chaps. Those are the 4 kind of top dogs going into the new season. Then you've got the upgraded Minnesota Rokkr team. You've got the Toronto team, which is good on paper. You've got the subliners there or thereabouts. Boston should have upgraded their team as well on paper. So, like, I think there's some teams that have taken steps forwards, probably others that have taken steps back. But, like, you know, is Crim right to say that this team's not going to win an event? I think that's kind of understandable given the absolute strength of talent at the top of the league. So if you want to dive into the numbers, right, HyDra last year 1.08, Kismet 0.95, Priester 0.98, sorry, Priester 0.95. So that is the thing, right? And Sky's, his numbers actually last year didn't look so good, even though like his Search and Destroy was good and stuff like that. So I feel like Sky's can drop better numbers than maybe he was last season on the whole in terms of from a pure KD perspective. And this whole Skies and Awakening duo hasn't really been it for the last couple of years, to be honest. But yeah, it is interesting because usually the player in your flex position, you kind of want that player to be delivering like good results and good numbers. Priester hasn't been that guy for the last couple of years. And in fairness, when he was probably at his most impactful, I think he was on an SMG. He could run an aggro SMG. He was like the Sorg, the grapple Sorg player for 100 Thieves back in the day. Like, he can run at pretty much any role. He was almost a main AR at times on this Minnesota Rokkr team. So that is the benefit with Priester. He can run absolutely anything that you want him to. Can he run it at an incredibly high level anymore? That's a big question mark that I think that's what New York will be considering, right? And I think that without Priester returning to kind of Black Ops 4 form or even earlier form, like, I don't think this team is winning anything, to be honest. But if Priester can hit those levels, then this team certainly has the potential. Definitely tweet your thoughts in the comment section. But is Crim right, or are New York correct to build a roster that probably is going to have no dramas, but maybe doesn't have quite the upside? It's an interesting question, if of course this team goes ahead. Far from guaranteed. Wanted to mention a couple of interesting things before we close out the video. Firstly, the Cellium cards. This is LAN only, actually. 89 overall. Pretty interesting, right? These numbers look pretty spectacular. Like, especially hardpoint. 1.35. Like, look at the kills, look at the deaths. 99 in these categories. But it gets an 89 overall, as does Cammy, actually. So this is, of course, like, the numbers, you can't really read into it that much. But I thought it was interesting to mention, just because the numbers on paper here look way worse for Cammy. But in terms of overall rating, it gets the same. And largely it's because this is based on kind of engagement numbers and damage numbers and stuff, where Cellium's numbers in kind of engagements and damage don't look so good compared to another flex like Cammy, who actually, you know, despite not having the KDs, maybe has more impact relative to those numbers, right? So that's one of the questions really that Cell and Cammy both fit into that role of kind of in that flex position. And now you're finding yourself in a spot where, you know, can Priester be a guy as impactful as those guys, given the fact that FaZe and Cammy or Minnesota Rokkr now exist as rosters, right? So definitely tweet your thoughts and all that stuff in the comment section below. Just wanted to finish out with this as well. 11 years ago yesterday, this was when OpTic won Quad XP. This was about 2 years before the first ever World Championship happened. This was 2011, right when Modern Warfare 3, I believe, first came out. That's when they dropped this entire event. And I mean, a crazy team actually. Scump was not even kind of playing at this time. It was Nadeshot, Big T, Merc, and Vengeance, a player that people really don't know. But yeah, this was the first ever $1 million tournament that some kind of consider to be the first ever World Championship. Realistically, it was played on questionable game modes, very early days. I don't really think it's a World Championship, but still, it was $1 million tourney, and Nadeshot won it. So shout out to the boys. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.
We're giving them a tour, right? We're playing football.
Oh my God.
We're playing football.
Yeah.
I don't know, we're playing football, and Ben absolutely smacks the ball clean off Jamie's girlfriend's face.
I'm glad we all found that funny.
My bad.
I didn't find it funny, it was just shocking.
I think
his reaction.
The video and then the reactions, everyone was just like, oh my God.
It's just so peak, innit?